Hi, welcome to Bogey and Dave. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dave, and joined by my co-host, affectionately known as Bogey. And today we're going to talk about a couple of words, obsession and perception.
Yes.
Okay? Because right now we're in the middle of this political campaign. It's all about obsession and perception, you know? And the things in life that we become obsessed with and how that drives us, that drives actually a deeper wedge between us, all right? And there's so many things that we can go on and on and on. And I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think the media has been one of the biggest harbingers of creating this.
It absolutely
because it creates a business for them.
Yeah.
You know?
They're doing a big job in influencing people's perceptions, of course. That's what they're there for. And that's where agendas come from. You know, but to dovetail on the last two shows that we've done, which were more spiritually based, this also is about spirituality because it's about going within for your truth instead of allowing the media outlets, the agendas, the messages to formulate perception. Okay, so it's outside of people, outside of themselves. And it creates and it feeds into an obsession, obsession.
But it has a lot to do with the filters that that are either inherent within us or we're brought up with. Because when you're children really don't have any filters. They look at something, they see it for what it is, and they either draw a conclusion. I like it, I don't like it. I want to play, I don't want to play. Last night I happened to catch, and this was pretty good, that on Megyn Kelly, who I've lost a lot of respect for a lot of reasons I don't want to get into because we're trying to, but I got to hear Dr. Carson speak freely on some questions. And what an amazing person that's just riddled with common sense and such a great story there, and yet that person's being lost because of the obsession and the perception.
It is perception, absolutely. And you know what the thing is that the media will slant it. They'll throw that curveball at people to get them off Carson. See, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's how people are portrayed. Many in our society will say, yeah, well, he did it himself, things that he said or he did. Look at his past. Look at this. That's the past that's been packaged for you. Yeah. Look how Barack Obama was packaged to the people. It affected perception.
But you know,
look how Hillary's being packaged.
Yeah, but you know, when you take a look at Barack Obama and they talk about the first black president, and you know, he didn't even come close to being brought up like a typical African American child. You know, he was brought up. Think about it. He had a white mother. He had white grandparents that took care of him. He went to private schools, very expensive private schools from a young age. He was not even close to what a typical African-American child in an inner city would have been brought up in.
So it's a great point. It's a great point. You know, so the perception was?
Yeah, the perception was, here was this young black kid that grew up and now he's president of the United States. He was so far from the typical inner city child, whether it be black or white, that grew up the hard way. He was, for all intents and purposes, had a silver spoon stuck in both ends of his body, and did not grow up in a way that they would have us believe. And again, it's the media, and the media lives on creating these straw men or perceptions of people so that they can sell time.
Right. So that's interesting. So what I'm seeing for the first time in a long time, I'm seeing the media suddenly realize that they're in the fight of their lives,
right? Yeah, because
against the people.
Yeah,
the people, the status quo, who's saying, "Whoa, we're not gonna listen to that crap anymore."
Yeah, click.
You know, yeah. So they're in a fight for their lives and perhaps livelihood because of relevance, right? They're losing relevance with the people, and like them or not, okay, Trump is resonating with them because there's no filter on Trump either.
No.
He thinks it comes out of his mouth.
It comes out of his mouth.
Okay, exactly. So love him or hate him, whether you disagree or agree with that, I'm not going to go there right now.
No.
The point is, look at the perception of people, because I want to bring this a step further.
Yeah, this is but you're bringing up, and right now Trump is a perfect example of throwing out all of what the media has shoved down our throats.
Yeah, because they're
and
trying to
flipping it.
say, hate them, hate them,
Hate
hate
him,
them.
hate him. Even Fox News.
I mean, they're actually trying to even plant little what ifs and lies and, well, is he really rich? Or Romney comes out and
came
says,
out yesterday about the
"Show me."
taxes.
It's all about the message. They're trying, the media is calling on everybody, hey, you say something, because we need this guy out of here.
Yeah.
They're trying to shift the perception
Right.
of the American people who like him
Right.
away from him.
Yeah.
And I want to push this a step further about obsession and perception, because again, it's not going within for your truth. When you listen to a media outlet and you allow them to make your choice for you or influence your choice, that's you not living your truth. You're not living in your truth.
Right.
You're not living in your truth and her truth and his truth. And let's take it that one step further. How many political parties do we have?
2.
So what's the perception? The perception is only 2 matter. There's only 2. No, there's really not.
No.
There's a Green Party. There's a Libertarian Party. There are many parties. Back in the 1700s, 1800s, there was the Whig Party.
Right.
That went away. There was a Federalist Party. I think that's still out there, actually.
Yeah.
So you don't hear about these because the media, the people who own the media outlets, have determined, no, we're going to control this, because if it gets too wide with too many parties, we lose control to the people.
Can you
And we
imagine-
can't lose control to the people.
No, but can you imagine if all of a sudden all of us were just forced to choose between 2 cars? You're going to buy with either a Ford or a Chevy. That's
Right.
it. You have no other choices. People go out of their minds. And yet, here we have only 2 choices to vote on people that affect our lives in the most impactful way.
All right. That's yeah,
Okay?
Yeah.
And we accept it.
absolutely.
We accept it. So again, along comes Trump, who is just breaking the paradigm, and now we've got another choice. Because you know what? I hope he runs as a third party if he doesn't get the GOP.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
What you just described,
Right.
and what you and I both just described, is that not a form of holding a soul or a conscience prisoner?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And they don't even know it, because spiritually, our spirits within ourselves, our truths within ourselves, they're not black and white like that.
No.
They're not vanilla. They're not just, okay, choose this or that. Right?
No.
Look at religion, even though I'm not, religion seems to divide more than unite lately. However, let's bring up religion for a second. What if we only had a choice of 2?
Yeah.
People wouldn't stand for that. That's not fair to Buddhists and Hindus and Christians and Jews, Muslims. It's not fair to any of them.
No. But that's what this Muslim caliphate wants, one religion.
They
That's
want
it.
one religion.
One religion.
And we continue to be sold 2 parties.
And what about this? When we brought up the what was it that you spoke of that started with George H.W. Bush, the
New World Order?
The New World Order, to get us all in order
Line
in
up.
this one lineup, one form of money, monetary system.
So they're holding us prisoner.
Yeah, they have, and we're stupid enough.
That's right.
Like I've told people time and again, put aside your and for whatever, vote something different this time. A friend of ours, Joe, applies that he will never reelect anybody. He doesn't care how good or bad, he will never reelect anybody. And maybe we need to start applying that. We need to force the issue, demand more choices other than just Republican and Democrat, because both of them have failed us.
So getting back to perception, though, right?
Right.
What is perception? Perception is to attach meaning to our experiences.
Uh-huh.
And if our experiences are increasingly television, technology, that's where we get all our messages from.
Right.
Then our perception and our truth will become that.
Yeah.
It's not going to become this or this or this. It's going to be everything outside of ourselves.
Right.
So if people can...
And that will define us.
Exactly. So if people can begin to be more aware of what they are allowing to filter through their ears and their minds and their hearts from the outside, if they can just be aware of the messages, it's like drug ads. You're watching the TV, You watch any of these, I shouldn't say any, most of the
Pharmaceutical ads.
mainstream news,
Right.
excuse me, most of the mainstream networks,
Right.
even especially like AMC,
Yeah.
awful. I mean, there's a pharmaceutical ad probably once an hour, at least.
Oh,
At
more than
least,
that, but
okay?
go ahead. Go ahead.
They're brainwashing and forming the perception to the people. They're holding the people's conscience prisoner, holding the viewer's conscience prisoner, because they're subliminally planting these messages. Okay, if you have high blood pressure, you want to take this. Side effects maybe, blah, blah, blah,
The
blah, blah, blah.
contraindications on all of those drugs are scarier than the disease it's trying to correct.
Right, but what those commercials do is that it's like a little tiny voice that goes off. It's like an alarm in our subconscious, and it says, okay, if I ever get high blood pressure, I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
And so naturally, the incidence of high blood pressure starts to spike.
Yeah.
Because now it's in our minds. We just heard that.
Yeah.
Okay? There was a double-blind study, I think it was a double-blind study, done on something similar to that. They gave a placebo pill, and they gave, it was like a placebo where they showed people a bunch of TV commercials that were for cholesterol statins.
Mm-hmm.
And then they showed a group of people other programming that didn't have any kind of drug ads. The people who watched the drug ads, as I recall, 30% increase in high cholesterol amongst those people who watched the high cholesterol drug ads because they heard it.
And they think
You plant that seed. And the drug companies know this. Listen. You and I both know we can't just go to our doctor and say, give me that high cholesterol drug that I just saw. Because the doctor's going to say, wait a minute, before I do that, do you have high cholesterol? We can't just go to our doctors and say, give me these drugs.
Right.
So why do the pharmaceutical companies spend billions of dollars on advertising? Why? Because they know it increases the incidence of the symptoms and the disease that they're advertising to combat.
And to
Perception.
Yeah, and to support what your theory right there is, why do you think during football, baseball, sports events, they're pushing beer? Because subliminally, we're going to want a beer.
Right.
Eventually, we're going to want to get up and have a beer.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Advertising and perception. You know, I've tried to point this out to people, and I don't think I've ever said it on our program. But if any of you get a chance, take note of your TV commercials. They always make the white male to be a dope in the
I remember
the
you
ad,
saying this,
okay?
yeah.
And they always, on TV shows, it's always the white male character that's a fool. They just paint him to be a Neanderthal, stupid idiot, and it carries right through to the commercials.
Well, and that's the perception. They want the
Right.
perception to be, it's okay to be stupid or dumb or unwise. Being unwise is cool, see?
Yeah.
Because they don't want an educated public, you know.
No.
They don't want this.
No.
But I want to illustrate something. Going back to the drug ads, the reason why they work is because everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
Our thoughts are energy. Words that come across the screen through the TV are energy. They project an energetic response in us. And they have this down to a science. Otherwise, you wouldn't see drug ads.
No, and to support that, when Goebbels, during the mid-1930s, started to build this perception that Jews were the evil and the cause of all the problems in Germany, heard enough times that lie, and even he said it, if you say the lie enough times, people will believe it. And it's the same thing with anything else. If you're bombarded with it, eventually you're going to say, Jesus, I think I got A, B, C, whatever it is, and I need help, or I
That's
need,
right.
you know, rather than
That's perception.
filter it out.
That's right.
You know, and just say, I mean, I look at those ads
Yeah.
and I say, just the side effects alone are scary. That I don't want to touch that, you know. And
If I said to you over and over again, this is not a table.
yeah,
It's not a table.
eventually it's not a
Eventually, you're
table.
going to start second guessing. So, Why do you keep saying that? Why do you keep saying that? Eventually you're going to get frustrated, but there's going to be a tipping point.
Right, right. And
Whoa, how is this not a table? And then all of a sudden you're going to start to second guess, well, what have I been told? And frankly, that's the same measurement and measure of analysis that everyone in America should be doing with everything they hear. Wait a minute. What do you mean she's not guilty? Or what do you mean he's that? Why? Ask more questions. That's how you defeat the propaganda. You need to ask, you need to look behind the curtain and say, okay, why are they reporting this? Why are they telling me this about that person? Are they in favor of that person and they want that person to go away? Well, they need to see the bigger, it's not just, oh, well, he said, they just reported this, so that it must be so. No, ask why.
Were you old enough to remember the Lyndon Johnson ads against Goldwater when he ran against Goldwater? Okay, Lyndon Johnson had this ad that showed a little girl and she was, playing, with a flower. And in the background, finally, the ad shows an atomic bomb going off. And he built this perception about Goldwater that if you vote for Goldwater, we're going to have nuclear war. Okay? Guess what? We didn't vote for Goldwater. We voted for LBJ, and we lost around 60,000 of our kids in Vietnam.
Yep.
Because of LBJ.
Yeah.
You see, the perception that they build around each other, and then they go and they, just think about they share the same table. Like when Obama was going against Hillary Clinton, I mean, it was one of the most contentious primaries ever in history. The Clintons dragged out every possible thing about Obama and vice versa. He ends up hiring her as Secretary of State. Doesn't that tell you people something, that these people are playing a game with us? And that game is they've got us to a point scientifically where they know exactly how we'll vote if they just say certain buzzwords. I mean, you that Frank Luntz. They say a certain thing. Look how it spiked. Look how when Carson said this. Look how the spike went up. I mean, it's so sickeningly scientific. That
but Frank
we've got to
Luntz
stop. Yeah.
fails to use words like manipulation. Fails to use words like programming.
Right.
He fails to wake up the people. He'll just say, "Oh, look at this. Look at these analytics."
Because he's
and
making
these
a
words.
living.
Because he's making a living.
Exactly.
But the truth is, it's all a bunch of hogwash.
Right. Because those people, like you just said, that confirms exactly when they're watching something and hearing something, the blood pressure, the emotion go up. Everything goes up.
Yep.
So when you're sitting there watching and you're bombarded with all of these pharmaceutical ads, of course you're going to start thinking, wow. In fact, I just saw one the other day, and I don't want to get into what it was, but I'm starting to think, geez, should I talk to my doctor about that? I'm serious.
Bingo.
I'm dead serious.
So what's the opposite of that? Let's throw away the TV set for a second. Throw away media for a second.
Right. What we have left is?
Listen.
Yeah.
Stillness, right?
Right.
The stillness. Stillness is something that you can achieve in meditation, in quiet, in yoga, in solitude. And guess what? Being in stillness and being allowed to come up with your own thoughts and let those roll over within your mind, and they're yours. No one put them there. That's when you start to find your truth. That's when you start to find revelations and discoveries and ideas and innovation, inventions, okay? It's not when people, I guarantee you, aren't coming up with a lot of their greatest ideas just from being bombarded with this artificial stimuli. They may see the stimuli and it may give birth to something in their minds, but it's when they're sitting in stillness or quiet, or it's that aha moment. That's when the revelation comes and it strikes them. I wonder if I should do this. That'd be really cool. It's not someone telling them to do it. The greatest minds throughout history, usually, they were before technology, right?
Right.
And To take this even a step further in the opposite way, I recently watched a YouTube video. It was a promo from Boston Scientific, okay? And it was very disconcerting because you talk about perception, this one's a scary one. It showed how they developed, and they are developing, this robot. They gave the robot the command to pick up a box. And there was a guy with a hockey stick. The robot went, and he could move like you and I, okay? He walked to this box. He bent over. He picked it up. The guy with the hockey stick smacked it back down. The robot persisted, picked up the box. He smacked it back down, moved it out of his way. The robot persisted, went over to where the box was, focused on that box, picked up the box. What's most disconcerting about that? Two things, okay? And this is how it comes full circle to within, what's the truth, what's the message. Look at what is happening in our world right now. They are disregarding and discounting humanity, human thought, individual thought, going within. And if you can program a robot to incessantly go after that box to pick it up, you can program that robot to kill, to murder,
and not
to do
stop.
other things. And the robot will not stop.
Right.
And shame on Boston Scientific, personally, for having lack of social responsibility, lack of human responsibility to pursue this. Shame on all of these robot engineers who are doing this. I realize and I get it with regards to production and efficiency. But you and I both know it's going to go beyond production and efficiency.
Absolutely,
and
'cause
jobs.
it's all
if they're
artificial.
going to end up paying people a fixed salary like what they're testing in Switzerland or Sweden, fine, okay. But you know these robots are going to have nefarious purposes too. Mm-hmm. They're going to be warriors. They're going to be soldiers. And okay, it's going to save soldier lives. That's fine. But you know it's going to go further.
Because those robots are going to have built into it a form of artificial intelligence and reasoning. And when it makes that leap, then we better be really fair.
Artificial intelligence and reasoning, is that not the opposite of stillness?
That's right, exactly.
And so that's the whole point of the show that I want to get across. Perception that is based on messages and propaganda can reap an obsession that is artificial, untrue, and not true to oneself. When you have things like technology and robots, that's going to immediately alter a different perception. It's going to give us a perception of worthlessness. Mm-hmm. It's going to give us a perception of, hey, what about us? What about compassion? What about empathy? What about everything that makes us human? When you take human elements out of the human system, what do you have left?
I'm glad you brought that up because do you ever experience the frustration that when you call up a company and you get a menu and a voice, a robotic voice that tells you, first of all, do you speak English or Spanish? Okay? That's insane. That part right there is insane. Okay. Press 1, press 2, it goes right down the whole menu. By the time you've reached a human being, most people, this is true, most people have hung up out of frustration and they've solved their problem because the problem no longer exists. It's gone away. So if I can take you through 3 or 4 levels of menus before you get to what you really need to have done, you are frustrated, you're angry, or you're gone, okay? Then listen to the music they have playing in the background. It's the most offensive music, and I'm not talking about rap. It's loud, it's ridiculous, it's absolutely it just drives you crazy to the point where that person hangs up the phone and says, you know what, I'll figure a way, I'll find another way out of this. And we've taken the human element out of it because if they had a person answer the phone, we could get to what we need to immediately. That person could say, oh, this is what you need. Okay, I can get you hooked up to that department. They don't want that. That's their idea of service, is to frustrate you enough to hang up the phone. And you've taken the human element out of it, which they want to do, and frustrate us so that their service departments, instead of growing, shrink. They make more money, and you as a customer you're gone. And with that will go choices. We will not have any more choices. We'll be back to choosing between A and B rather than 26. I always go back to, Had not the Japanese come into the car market, we would still be driving built-in obsolescence in the American car. But the American cars were forced to keep up with that great car that came in from Japan and was able to provide us with a reliable means of transportation at a very cheap price. Okay, and now take a look in this country. How much of our even American cars are even made here? You know,
and the price of them. Oh my God!
And one thing that people don't realize that's going on is in California. We're down to 2.5 minutes. In California, people now are able to go into even a McDonald's and order right off of a little screen, and then their food arrives in a bag and it's given to them. So the person's gone. You want to pay $15 or $16 or $20 an hour? Well, guess what? I can replace that with a screen instead of a guy that may be sick, and I'm not going to pay $20 an hour. So yeah, you've done a great job. I'm glad you've upped my hourly minimum wage, but you've cost me a job. Secondly, I want to bring this up before we lose time. A real message was sent in Nevada when 71% of the Spanish vote went to Trump, because a lot of the immigrants that came in here, Spanish immigrants that came in here legally, are realizing that if we don't stop, if we start giving away everything to the people that came here illegally, I'm not going to have a job anymore. These immigrants that came in the front door, they're saying, I'm going to lose my job because these people are going to replace me. They're going to work cheaper or whatever, and I'm gone. So now they're starting to finally think and make a choice. They're going within and they're saying, wait a minute, I'm not going to listen to these people screaming that you know, it's bad. No, they should have to leave the country and come in the front door. You know, this country right here, the IRS have taken families and thrown them out on the street based upon them not being able to pay their taxes. They didn't give a damn about the Americans, just threw them out, lost their home, lost whatever, over because they broke the law. And yet, we have all these people that have broken the law and we're rewarding them. Okay, anyway.
Yep, perception.
You're right, we've got to start looking within and start using a filtering system.
And turn off the TV for a while.
Turn it off, yeah. I mean, I can't watch news
anymore.
Turn
off the computer
I used
for a while.
to watch it a lot. You know? I was a real junkie. I don't.
It's a sign that you're not spending enough time alone when you sit still and your own silence feels awkward to you.
Yeah.
That means you're not doing it enough.
Yeah. And then when you start to sit, you start to think things through. You know, kind of a cleansing your mind.
Yes.
And pick up a book and read it instead of turning on the news, right?
Huge. Yeah.
Shut it off, because the media has really hurt us as much as our politicians. We're all out of time. Thanks for watching. Catch us on YouTube. We're there. All of our shows are up, and Bogey does a great job at giving you a lot of those tags so you'll know how to find us. Thanks again. See you next week.